Welcome to the Keys to the City podcast, where the kingdom enables your success. I'm your host, Christian Graham. Welcome today with Darian Young, also known as DJ Young, professional pickleball player, ranked, I believe the last time I checked, 17 in the world right now, according to PPA rankings.
Yes.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit about what got you started in pickleball. Where it all started for you.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, it was really easy. So basically, my entire life, I was a tennis player, born and raised in Spain. So, tennis and soccer were the biggest two things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved to the U.S. at 13. And I don't know if it was the move or what it was, but from 13 to 16, I just really stopped enjoying tennis as much as I did in Spain. I don't know exactly why. And so between 16 and 18, I am 24 now. I wasn't sure as to what I wanted to do. So I was going to school, but I was also working a bunch of like minimum wage jobs, just trying to make a little bit of money on the side.
Yeah.
And then at 18, Steve Dawson, the owner of the Bobby Riggs Paddle and Racket Club. Which used to be where I used to play tennis at. He called me and he was like, "Hey, like you're one of the few athletes that I think are really talented. Were really good at tennis. One of my students that are not going to college. I think I found the perfect sport for you." So I ended up actually going to play pickleball for the first time at some sort of like beginner's clinic with my dad. And then my dad and I are very competitive, and my dad's a beast. Like he's like 52, but he's like 30.
Yeah. On the pickleball court?
Everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
Like he's just nonstop, super athletic, super smart. So for me, it's always been trying to keep up with him. I still think, in my opinion, he's still in better shape than I am.
Wow.
So funny enough, I hated it at first.
Yeah.
And then, the typical, like, this is for old people. I don't like this. Why can't I run around and hit forehands, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And he loved it.
Yeah.
He thought it was awesome. He understood it more than I did, where I was still, like, stubborn and 18.
Yeah.
And then, like, 6 months in, he's like, "Hey, I learned how to play. I think I'm pretty good. Just come out. It's not what you thought. It's not what you think it is. Come out with me and let's just play."
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I mean, yeah, I guess, whatever.
Yeah.
So we ended up playing. He's like, "Let's play some singles."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, I guess. I mean, I'm pretty good at tennis, so what are you going to do?
So pause there real quick, because traditionally in like pickleball, it's actually more doubles dominant, right? Like you traditionally play the sport more in a doubles setting.
Yeah.
So what is it like going into, singles and playing in that way? That was your first experience playing pickleball at that point, or you had already been training a little bit?
No, so it was basically my first experience after the beginner's class.
Okay.
And I think the reason why he asked me to play singles was because he wanted to like prove a point, saying like,
ass.
"Yeah, this is hard. I'm gonna beat you. Like you're not ready for this sort of thing." And funny enough, he ended up beating me, and that's what got me into like playing more. So my goal at that point was like, there's no way he's going to be better than me at something. And, it took me a while to get better at pickleball than him. But then after that, I was like, okay, I already am better, but I actually enjoy it and I want to keep playing. So then, the rest was kind of history. But yeah, doubles to singles is very different. Singles is extremely physical. It's very tiring. There's a lot of like turns and sprints.
Yeah.
It's kind of like doing shuttle runs, like, point after point after point.
Right.
Where doubles, it still requires a little physicality, but you can get away with, having a better read on the ball. It's a little bit more like chess.
Yeah. I've watched a couple of videos. I've seen a couple of people play, but I haven't gotten into pickleball myself. I used to, play a lot of tennis myself growing up. My dad played a lot of tennis, played through college, and then he eventually started coaching and even was like the president of the American Tennis Association, which is the organization that really allowed blacks to be participating in the larger, tennis groups and tournaments and whatnot. And so I grew up, playing on the court, playing at Barnes. And yeah, I just remember playing like some of my bigger tournaments there from like 7 to 13. And then after that, like I kind of grew up around the wrong crowd and stuff like that, or like just had like some different influences in my life at that point when I started going to high school. and they're like, "Oh, this is a girl sport." And
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, I'll just like focus on track or, football or, whatever, like, and just play more recreationally because I wasn't even nearly as good in those sports as I was in tennis.
Yeah.
But I definitely miss it. But now knowing like, and just hearing you talk more about pickleball being that, you're very active at the lab and, you record podcasts and whatnot here. It definitely like has inspired me to like pick up a paddle
Yeah.
and to get out onto the court. And I was doing some research yesterday on really like the top shots and stuff like that. And I keep hearing you talk about like the dink,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so this was like, from my understanding, is like the one shot that separates tennis from like pickleball. Like almost every other shot you can pretty much do and replicate in pickleball, but the dink is like something special. It's like a very soft shot where you just lift up, and you talk about like having a really good dink. Explain to me what is the purpose of a really good dink?
Yeah, the dink is a funny word, right? So a dink, it's basically a lot of the time just a shallow, like once you're at the kitchen is the non-volley zone.
Yeah.
In the pickleball court.
Right.
It's basically a good dink is hitting the ball softly and shallow over the net, so the opponents in front of you are not
have a slower reaction time to be able to hit the ball and really go attack on it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Basically avoiding getting attacked or giving them a high ball or whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
So kind of what goes into hitting a good dink, sometimes it's spin, sometimes it's like depth of the court and the kitchen line. Sometimes it's, maybe I'm trying to like fake you out with like a body like movement, and then I hit, somewhere else, kind of holding the shot to the last second. But yeah, the dink is just something that it's just pickleball, right?
Yeah.
And to me, the best way that I can explain it is that, if you go watch a basketball game and you have, let's say, like Steph Curry, right? Like a dink for a professional pickleball player should be a free throw for Steph Curry. It should be something that you're barely, ever, rarely, almost missing,
It's an effortless shot.
It should be.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
And so this is where it got interesting for me, because me just being like a strategist and stuff, like I'm looking at this for the first time and I'm like, this is really a shot that's just here to really set you up and set up the opponent to make the wrong move, because eventually they become comfortable.
Yeah.
Right? So is that correct? Like you're really just trying to get someone comfortable, relaxed. They hit the wrong dink, they end up going too high, and now you're able to go on attack.
Yeah, correct. I mean, in any sport, and if we're talking about pickleball, you're trying to make your opponents as uncomfortable as possible, right? To give
playing into your own game.
Correct.
Yeah.
To give yourself the best chance of winning. And so once you've made it to the non-volley zone and the dink starts happening, now that's when you start playing a little bit of chess, and maybe you hit slice to their backhand, or you short hop something into their forehand, and you start moving them around. Maybe you like, if they hit a bad dink, instead of speeding up, you do a fake body movement, and then you like aim somewhere else, and you change the shot last minute. So there's a lot that comes into it. But yes, ultimately, your goal is to hit a better dink than your opponents, for them to be able to basically hit a worse shot, and you can speed it up off of that and then put it away.
Gotcha.
Or if it's high, just to put it away right away.
Gotcha. What's your expertise in pickleball? Is it the dink? Is it being more on the attack?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of an offensive player. I lack a little bit of on the defensive side, even though I'm currently working on it.
Yeah.
But with my height, my power, my agility, speed, my wingspan, I'm just overall better at closing the net. Bringing a lot of pace. I'm really good at disguising shots. I'm really good at speed ups. So anything to do with the faster pace game, right? Like even if it's a dink, I can still hit a decently fast dink that dips over the net really fast. Where some other people just need to kind of like, hit it really soft and over the net, and that's good for them. So that's not how I view it. I think everything can get better. And so, yeah, for me, it's anything to do with speed and just explosiveness is what I'm really good at.
Gotcha. All right, let's switch gears. So the purpose of Keys to the City is really to give platform and presence and awareness to either small businesses or just, high level entrepreneurs, professionals, really just people that are doing well for themselves, have achieved very high success. And so that's one of the bigger reasons why you're a part of this pod is that, you've made it. You've made it to the top 20. You've received a contract, and you've been able to enter that space. What are the kind of key, pivotal points in your life that made you get to where you are now?
Yeah, are we talking from like a working hard standpoint? Are we talking about from a decision standpoint? What are
Kind of all the above. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could start first with, maybe your disciplines or, whether it be work ethic or whether it be, maybe some of the decisions that you had to make, sacrifices. Just shed light on, kind of what really drove you to get to this point now where you've made it to this top 20.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I would say that I just have like a God-given talent. Firstly, and it allows me to do anything on court. Comes easier to me than other people. So that would be number one. And then number two, it's, and I think this is what it's really hard for other people to understand. And in my opinion is if you have a God-given talent, you should just pursue that, right? That's what you're naturally good at. And that's what you were basically like born to do, maybe,
Amen.
Yeah. So to me, it's just basically, I figured out that I had a talent, that had to do with racket sports, right? Because I did play some soccer, I did play a little bit of basketball. I tried everything, and I just happened to excel at tennis first and foremost. And then after that, it was pickleball. I'm pretty good at table tennis. But, the thing is, to me, is figuring that out, right? Like, what are you really good at? And for me, it was pickleball. And then once you find that and you've done all your research and you've tried all the things that you need to try to find that, then I think you just have to like dive deep into it and find ways to, in my opinion, just be better than other people, right? So you want to ask all the questions. You want to talk to the right people. You want to be around the right people, right? You're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So I think just having a circle of people within a team of the people that want the best for you and are going to help you achieve what you want to achieve is the most important thing too. And then we can talk about all the disciplines of like, I don't do any drugs, I don't do any smoking, I don't drink any alcohol. Funny enough, I had a boy of mine that plays pickleball was doing a bachelor party in San Diego, and he's like, "Hey, where should I go?" And I'm like, "I have no idea, I don't party."
Yeah.
Right. So
Dang.
I was like, "Hit up somebody else, bro."
Yeah.
So for me, those things came easy because I understood that I'm here right now to be the best I can be on the pickleball court. So it's like, okay, does me drinking or smoking align with that? No, it doesn't. So I just shouldn't do it.
Wow.
So I think once you understand what you're good at and you want to pursue it, I think it just becomes easy because then all the things that you do around it is to reach that goal.
Yeah,
right?
No, 100%. And I think that's definitely something similar for me. One of my mission really with Keys to the City and becoming a business coach is my mission statement is to activate and multiply, high level individuals in and through their gift. And so whether that be, playing pickleball, whether that be, Nick being a videographer, whether that be, someone making buttons on a shirt, like every single thing, even though it may look little to someone else, is all a need and perhaps a pain point that can drive demand. And I want to really help people to maximize their gift, to allow their gift to make room for them.
Yeah.
Biblically speaking, me being a man of faith, like that's the number one pillar in my life. That's like one of the most important pieces. The first most talked about topic in the Bible is seeking first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things will be added to it. The second most talked about topic in the Bible is money, or really the the art of sowing, reaping and sowing. And so if you continue to sow into your gift and you give God the glory for it, then he will make room through your gift to do really what he needs of you in your life. And it may not necessarily always look like, you know, top 5 billionaires in the world,
Yeah.
but you're going to be serving a greater purpose, for your life here on earth.
Yeah.
And so I think that while pickleball is a very important part of you, do you feel that pickleball is the number one gift that you're going to be able to then go out into your city, or go back into Spain and to make impact through that? Do you think that that's really where pickleball came into play for you?
I think I know where you're going with this. I think pickleball is the number one stepping stone for me
Financially?
to allow me to do everything else that I think my purpose is for.
Yeah.
Right. So financially speaking, I I do decently well. And so it allows me to come here and, be partnered with you
Yeah.
and work at the MK lab, bring people on here, talk to them. I think another one of my gifts is talking to people.
Yeah.
I think I'm a people's person. I enjoy people. I get energy from talking to people. I might not look like it at the tournament, but I'm overall like a happy person,
You are. You're a great
And
man.
yeah, and I try to bring light to people. Thank you.
Yeah.
At a tournament, yeah, it looks a little bit different, more like a mean mug face, trying to like scare my opponents, things like
Yeah.
that. But outside of the court, I'm the most like, you can talk to me anytime. I'm always happy to help. But yeah, to answer your question, and sorry I went off track, but
No,
to
you're
answer your
good.
question, yeah, no, I think pickleball is like the stepping stone for me to be able to expand and do bigger and better things for sure.
Yeah. No, it's to me it's it's a means to do something. Like just as a 9 to 5 for someone else, just as, owning Smackin' for myself or owning the lab. These are all just really pieces to be put in place so that I can invest into, the next thing.
Yeah.
Continue to sow, and then eventually, you'll reap from the good fruit that you sow into. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you continue to sow into, bad things, like, and you're just wasting time, or wasting your money, drinking, smoking, partying and stuff like that. Like those are, drinking is okay on occasion, or, kind of, yeah, like not being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But eventually, like, if you continue down making those certain habits, like you don't get to this level of success is really what I've seen, time and time again in all the high level professionals and entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about your habits. What are the key habits that you put in place, maybe on a daily basis or week to week basis? You seem like a very goal oriented person as well. Do you have like a specific strategy or goal process that you follow?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think every day is a learning experience,
Mhm.
right? And I think building the right habits and building the right maybe even attitude is more important than the goal itself, right?
Mm.
Because you have like yeah, you want to set maybe a goal, even though I'm not a huge believer in that,
Mm.
because the goal can be there, but if you don't do the right things to get there, you'll
Mhm.
never get there, right? So I
Mhm.
think it's every day doing everything that you can to better yourself, and then hopefully one day you'll reach that goal,
Mm.
right? So I'm more of a fan of just doing the right things every day more than anything. But as far as habits go, I mean, yeah, if we're gonna get down onto it, it's wake up really early, go to bed really early,
Are
mostly.
you sure, bro? I swear you be texting me at like 11 o'clock at night. Yo, I just booked another pod.
That that is true, but that's just because I just wake up through the night thinking about what could be,
Yeah.
But for the most part, I do get my fair share of sleep. But yeah, it's the occasional like 11 p.m. Oh, I need to like book a pod or like 2 a.m. Like, should I hit this thing here? But outside of that, like wake up early, go to bed early, try to eat good food.
Yeah.
Talk just like always talk positively. I think it's a really big one for me.
Mm.
Like I I try to avoid anything like negative. You
Hmm.
know, anything that's like, oh, like this guy does this and it's not good. Like, it doesn't matter, right? So just
Yeah.
keeping it always real, keeping always like positive, I think goes a long way. But honestly, yeah, it's just like whatever in the moment. I think being organized is a good thing.
Hmm.
But whatever is in the moment that I think is just making the right thing for you long term is the best thing you could possibly do for yourself, right?
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. And the thing for me is like, I found that because I don't have the immediate success, or I can't say like immediate success, but I was never like granted a contract by someone that, was able to pay me, X amount of money and then kind of put things in place for me. So I can't really speak from that experience.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing for me that I've put in place that really brought Smack In and also the MK Lab to fruition was SMART goals. And so are you familiar with the term?
I am not actually.
Okay, so SMART goals is a very strategic like goal making process, which is SMART is specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, relevant, and time insured.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't basically the way that you would utilize SMART goals is I don't just go to the gym and say I'm going to go work out and expect good results. No, like I'm going to go to the gym, and this is really why a coach is important to really guide you through this process is like I'm going to give you this specific regimen of this day is going to be a push day, this day is going to be a pull day, this day is going to be a leg day,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you break that down. This push day is going to have 5 exercises, these specific 5 exercises, doing 3 sets by 10 reps, da 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 da. And because of like how much research and how many people have done this regimen, it's been proven results. And so the big thing for me, as you've been alluding to this whole time, is like the R in SMART goals, which is relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Relevancy means that everything that you're doing, that this goal that you have in mind, and all the pieces that you're putting in place to move around this goal, that it's all relevant to your long-term trajectory of what you really envision for your life. And so for me, that's what I really put in place, to bring Smack into fruition. Like, because when I had quit my corporate job, I went straight to Barnes and Nobles and I bought How to Start a Podcast for Dummies, How to Build a Personal Brand for Dummies. And so like I literally left the office, went straight to my car, went straight to Barnes and Nobles. No cap. Like
Mm-hmm.
did that. And then after a little bit of reading, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go buy these mics, buy this, buy that, and I'm gonna start my podcast because I've always had this goal of really starting a business podcast and helping people to understand and really unlock like everything that they have for themselves, really bringing out the best in people.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do this. A month later goes by, and like back then podcasts were like super difficult to be able to get off the ground. Like they have so much technology in place nowadays. But I just gave up on the idea, and I was like, how am I gonna take the big leap? You know what I mean? And then that's when like God revealed to me like start with Smacking. Because I had been making investments and things like that, and was able to get the capital to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I never took the big leap, quote unquote, where I would have the credibility or even maybe the knowledge or wisdom, to really speak on business at a high level and have people respect it.
Yeah.
From someone like me, because I've always kind of been, hiding behind the scenes, right?
Okay.
And that's why I wanted to build the personal brand. Sure enough, here we are 5 years later, after Smackin's been established, here we are at the lab now, and now we're able to have like a full-blown podcast studio and know exactly what I'm doing, what I'm able to speak on, you know what I mean? But it all started with that one relevant goal and taking it one step at a time, one step at a time. And sometimes I feel like people get lost in the sauce thinking that they're going to have immediate success because of what they see on maybe social medias or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a grind,
Yeah.
you know? For you, what does that grind really mean to you? Because I know that you are a crazy hard worker. Why? Why do you do it? Is it, I know that you have a family now,
Mm-hmm.
family man. Congratulations. You
Thank
have
you.
a 3-week-old daughter.
Mm-hmm.
What was your why before your daughter? Because my why was in part was my daughter.
Yeah.
She was about to be born when I started making all of these moves for the restaurant.
Yeah.
But yeah, talk to me a little bit about your why.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about my why. But first and foremost, what I want to talk about and kind of like touch on is, kind of like the things that people don't see, right? So yes, I was lucky enough to get a contract back in my first big one was in 2023.
Yeah,
So 2022 for 2023.
right.
And yeah, that was amazing. But what people don't realize is that even throughout my tennis years, I picked up a tennis racket, from age 4, right? And then I basically dropped the tennis racket at age 18. Like all these years of like training, not hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
I leave school early and change in the car, eat some rice and chicken that my mom brought me, and it's straight to training for like 3-4 hours. And then you come back and it's like, okay, well, I lost this lecture. Now I gotta like call my friend and try to figure out, what happened. And now I gotta do homework until 11. And I got, and like all this for so many years. And then I turned 18. I'm working minimum wage jobs. I don't want to play tennis anymore. I get a little bit lucky with the Dawson family that owns Bobby Riggs, and they called me like, "Hey, just come work for us. We like you."
This is just to be like a front desk
person, just talking to people.
Yeah,
like,
not like we're giving you a contract to play
Nothing.
pickleball. This is just like you're moving from, was it grocery clerk to receptionist?
At 18, I moved from grocery clerk to basically receptionist, $14 an hour and 50 cents, right? And even at that point, I'm like, okay, well, I'm playing pickleball like 6 hours a day. I'm trying to figure it out. I like it. So all these things that people don't see, right? And then now you have, and then at that point, I was kind of going to college, junior college, because I was like, I don't know what to do. And my parents were like, you should just probably go to college. I don't know, figure it out.
Right.
And then, at 2022 for my 2023 season, I get a big contract. And then now it's like, oh, dude, you made it, which honestly I haven't yet. That's not my viewership. That's not how I view like making it. But for some people it is. And it's like, oh, you made it, blah, blah, blah. Like overnight. And it's like, no, dude, like it's been a long, long process.
Yes.
And I counted from the day that I picked up a tennis racket.
Yeah.
Because if that never happened, I probably wouldn't be as good of an athlete as I am now at pickleball if I didn't do all my 16 years or whatever of tennis, right?
Right.
And then all the hours that I spent in the gym, all the hours that I spent, watching tennis, learning, watching pickleball, learning, and so forth. The success was not overnight.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm successful yet. I have a long way to go.
Okay.
Successful to me means like billionaire. Like you just never have to worry about anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
But success on the pickleball court, do you find yourself being successful in the sport yet?
I mean, I'm relevant. I'm relevant in the sport. I've been as good as like number 4 in the world. Last year, I came to the PPA tour with no points, and I ended up 11th in the world because I was playing APP at the time, which is a different tour. And then this year, I had to skip on a couple of tournaments because of my wrist injury and the birth of my child. Yeah. And so I had to skip a couple of tournaments there. And I'm still ranked like 16, 17, even with not making it to like half the tournaments of the season, right? So yeah, I'm really good. I'm still relevant, but I don't think I'm like a big deal. I'm like, I'm good at pickleball. Let's go play. But yeah, I mean, I guess to some extent I am successful in pickleball, but it's not I don't value that, or I don't view that as like I'm a super successful person. I think bigger and better things will come with the right, mindset.
100%.
And as to answer your why, even though I just gave you a long speech, to answer your why, I just think is the way that I'm wired. My dad, he's very smart, very successful, and in my opinion. And the thing with my dad was that he came from nothing,
Yeah.
built everything in Spain,
Yeah.
and then lost everything.
Mm.
And so that was the reason why we came to the United States, because he basically had money to like buy some plane tickets and like send us to the United States. And like, okay, I'm gonna start working here now, even though we're like don't have any money.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to build everything up from the ground up.
Wow.
And so basically, when I talked to him about it, he told me when he lost everything in Spain, not only he lost everything, it probably set him back like 20 years.
Wow.
That's what his explanation.
Wow.
And here we are 10 years later.
Yeah.
And he's doing really well again, right? So to some extent, I do think because of my dad is my genetics, and watching somebody that close, taking care of the whole family, never having any issues, never seeing them fight, loving all of us, being present, even though he's like working all the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
imagine.
How could you not, right?
Right.
So it just comes down to, I've seen him my whole life.
Yeah.
And maybe it took me a little bit to realize it, because obviously if you're 6, you might not know.
Yeah.
But, you see someone, you basically see someone not have anything to have everything. Like I'm talking about like big house, big warehouse, 4 BMWs outside, to like losing everything, not having one car in the United States, to now having everything again.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you guys found your way through that, and really the word here is perseverance. You guys definitely come from a place of perseverance, and I think that's really the key, pivotal moment for your dad, and also you seeing your dad go through that and work through that perseverance. You know what I mean? Because perseverance, biblically speaking, perseverance produces character, and character produces hope.
Yeah.
And so if you continue to persevere, then that just becomes a part of who you are. You know what I mean? And then it gives you hope for, a brighter future.
Yeah. And he didn't have a choice. So that's how I view it. I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I either live my life being somebody, or I live my life being a nobody. And I think both have its pros and cons, but I'd rather be somebody.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And I think that's the really important part too, is that you need to continue to surround yourself with high level individuals that are going to bring out the best in you. And so, that's something that we've talked about before. That's also something that you talked about with Golden. That's like very important for you. You know what I mean? That you continue, like law of attraction, you're going to attract people that are very similar to you. And I don't think that's by accident.
Yeah.
I really feel like how you got here to work out of the MK lab and to work with me was really God's plan. Like it wasn't an accident.
There's no coincidence.
There's no coincidence here. You know what I mean? Like we're high level individuals that have a very similar vision of what success really looks like. And to me, it's not that money is the greatest asset, because time really is. You're only limited by the amount of time that you have, and also you're limited in the beliefs that you have. But money is an enhancer for more opportunities.
Yeah.
And so you're able to take the money and you're able to go sow that into your city, into your family, into, really whatever, so that you can continue to expand sphere of influence and make impact in your community. One thing for me is that my stepdad, so I actually lost my biological father at 4.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man. So yeah, with my stepdad, he had always taught me that the greatest ability that we have is the ability to adapt. And that's something that really resonated with me, really my whole life, but more so when like the pandemic hit, and Smackin' was only 8 months into opening, and, we were like still trying to figure things out for ourselves, but we had to adapt to the situation. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have an option to just sit back and, like, all right, it's just going to come to us. No, like you have to adapt and you have to then put in the work. And so that's really what I see in your dad's story. You know what I mean? Like he had lost it all, or he had everything, lost it all, came here, adapted to his situation, persevered through his situation, and had the mindset to then work through his disciplines and show you guys what it really looks like to put in the work. And for me, what discipline really equates to, you don't really know this yet, but I'm an acronym person. It really just helps me understand things and break things down at a very, digestible level. Discipline equates to putting in the work.
Yeah.
WERC for me. Work ethic, repetition, and consistency.
Mm-hmm.
The more that you continue to put in the work, then you have really nothing to worry about, because you're willing to put in those long days and you're able to do it repeatedly.
Yeah.
You put in the reps, and then it just produces your character. It just produces who you are. It's not even a matter of just doing it. It's just who you are. It's a part of your nature. And that's really what I hear from your story.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think he would have been able to do it without my mom either, because she had to handle all three of us, me, my brother, and my sister.
Yeah.
I mean, she's an absolute trooper. We all love her so much. And
shout out mom.
Yeah. And I mean, my dad obviously was like the rock and the one that was, bringing home the money and everything. But I can attest that, having three kids, especially me being one of them, it's not easy. So the fact that he was able to pull it out like that, it's incredible.
Yeah, no, 100% too, bro. Like, I don't think there's enough credit given to even the work that moms do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, especially if they're stay-at-home moms. Like, there's so much work. Like, I'm good off of an hour or two of hanging out with, my daughters. And then I'm like, I need to get to the next thing. Like, I got a podcast to book. I got, clients to meet with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, my mind is going
everywhere.
100 different places, because we have that vision, of what it means to get to that point where, like, now we don't have to worry about the finances or worry about having, our feet on the ground and our head above water. Like, we can just focus on family.
Mm-hmm.
So what are really the pillars or the core values that you carry with your character, like with DJ? Like,
that's a good question. I mean, loyalty, respect, just making sure that you're doing good by everyone at all times. Like I think as long as you don't have an agenda and you're trying to find all these angles, get through something or whatever, I think that's the best way you can do about it. But it's tough, right? Because there's just so many things that come with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then I mean, I think loyalty is number one in my opinion. Because if you're not loyal to maybe to your girl, if you're not loyal to your friends, you're not going to be loyal to your business partners. You're going to be loyal to other stuff. So I think the discipline of being loyal is, in my opinion, number one. I don't know.
No,
that was a good question. You had me thinking there. I don't know how to go about it.
No, you're good, bro. Like, yeah, for me, my core values really are my 5 pillars, is my 5 F's.
Mm-hmm.
Is faith, family, fitness, finances, and fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it in that specific order because without my faith, I really feel like I have no firm foundation on what I can stand on. And you can really look and point towards the Bible to give example for everything and
mm-hmm.
principle and perspective for everything. Like, you really don't have to look any further. Like, I really feel like God laid it out, as to why, it's been around for thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's it's faith first and foremost. So I start the day, either getting into my word or, prayer or whatever it may be. And then next is spending some family time, because you don't know how much time you have to spend with your family. You know what I mean? Like, they could go at any moment. I lost my dad when I was super young. And so I look to my daughters now, which Aaliyah is 5. I lost my dad at 4. And it's like, oh, I made it past that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're good for now.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then fitness, like I said, Because if and fitness really encapsulates like just your overall well-being. So like whether that be mental health, physical health, spiritual health, emotional health, you know what I mean? Just really taking care of yourself, because if you can't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of anyone.
Yeah.
Or take care of your businesses, which is like the next thing, which is finances. You know what I mean? Like I need to be good, mentally clear, you know, and physically be able to keep up, you know, to be able to be sharp when I meet and encounter, you know, high level individuals or prospect people. You know what I mean? I need to be able to be on top of my game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like I said last time, is like fellowship. You know, so just coming together and really breaking bread and really just doing life with people.
Yeah.
So like with our relationship, you know, it's really been a lot of business transaction and now we're like starting to form a partnership where it goes beyond the transaction of things. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to continue to pour into you because we have a very like-mindedness to really take care of our family, really like create generational wealth.
Yeah.
You know, I think for our kids, and not just our kids, but our kids' kids.
Yeah,
you know
everybody.
what I mean? Everybody, you know, pour it back into the entire family at some point as well. And so that's where I really feel like, you know, yeah, that's a important piece of my life, but that's also like the last aspect of my life. Like I need to take care of this first, and then like, you know, then I can focus on what it's like to have partnership and other relationship, right?
Yeah.
For you, how important is it for you to have good relationships and partnerships or strategic partnerships in your life?
I think it's, I mean, outside of like health and family, or you know, family and health, I think it's like one of the most important things, right? Because like your everyday life, it's you become around people. Like, you know, whether you wake up and you go to work, whether you wake up and your wife is there, if you know, whatever it is, like there's people around you 24/7, right? So for you to be able to build all these relationships and friendships, in a manner where it's basically positive and successful, and it matters to all of you or the both of you or whatever it is, I think it goes a long way. And I think that's where, you know, being good to people, being a good person, being nice, maybe even being like relative, right? Like just in the sense of being able to bounce ideas off of one each other. I think it goes a long way, because I don't think anyone would be anywhere they are without people.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I see it.
Yeah. No one person is ever self-made.
Yeah.
Like it truly takes a village, you know, to raise, you know, a child or to raise a family up. You know what I mean? It's never just what you've done. And you know, I hear that through your story as well. Like, though you made tremendous, you know, efforts within your own abilities and whatnot, you know, on the tennis court and then the pickleball court, you know, you had your mom and your dad behind you to really, you know, provide those meals for you from your mom. And then, you know, your dad was really the one that said like, all right, you know, instead of doing the school thing, let's go try some pickleball.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, basically.
You know,
yeah.
and so like, it's just really interesting. And like you said, like a lot of people don't see those behind the scene things that really get you to that point. And that's really where I like to shed a lot of light on. You know, is like all of the late night hours. Like no one knows about the first day of opening Smackin' when I worked 20 hours. I went to sleep for 1 hour, got back up, went straight to the grocery store to re-up on supplies because we sold out in the first hour and a half of opening.
That's awesome.
Of the restaurant. Thank you. Yeah, we made like 3 months worth of rent in the first hour and a half of opening the restaurant.
That's amazing.
And it was just it was just the most bizarre night because we didn't even like put it out. We didn't have time to put it out. We opened doors on June 28th, and we didn't get like our final health inspection approval until June 25th. So we didn't even have time to like market or anything like that. We just sent it out on Facebook, Instagram, you know, soft opening, come through, you know, try out the food.
Yeah.
You know, because we haven't even tested it at that point.
Yeah.
And like, dude, we had line wrapped around the building, you know. But yeah, anywho, like we had sold out in an hour and a half. People were waiting like 2.5 hours for that food to come. And we had people like, you know, sitting out in the parking lot and just dining out together. But yeah, the story behind it is like, yeah, I grinded like 16 to 18 hours of prep for that day.
Mm-hmm.
We sold out an hour and a half, went back and worked 20 hours, went to sleep for an hour, went back to the grocery store, came back and prepped, and then worked another, I think it was like, that was like another 16 or 18 hour day. And then, you know, came in and knocked that out. And then we finally got to rest because we're closed on Sundays. And that's one of the reasons why we close on Sundays too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not just because like we like to take a Sabbath day, you know, me and my family, we like to like just take that day for rest. But it was just like, it was just too much at that point too. Like I was like, nah, for real, like the show can't go on right now. Like I just did like 50 hours straight of
good problem to have though.
Yeah. And it was amazing. You know what I mean? But people don't see those stories. You know what I mean? They don't see the late night hours of like you having to balance your studies and then also your workouts and then also, you know what I mean, like family and everything. Like, and yeah, I think that especially now too, like you're still traveling and you got your family and then you're still working out, like and now you're, you know, starting your podcast. Shout out Conversations with DJ.
Thank you.
Go give Conversations with DJ a follow. Also, was it Darian Young PB?
DJ Young PB.
DJ Young PB on Instagram and also on YouTube. Conversations with DJ. All streaming platforms. Go check out that podcast. Super, super interesting podcast, really talking a lot of high-level pickleball and just bringing on a lot of people in the sports world in general. I love hearing it.
Thanks.
But yeah, man, outside of that, do you have any questions for me?
I have one question after I give a little shout-out to everybody. Obviously, thank you for having me. Yeah. Obviously, thank you to the MK Lab. I know your wife, Steph, does a good job with everything as well. Thank you to all my sponsors with, Engage Pickleball, Stack Athletics, Head Shoes. Shout out to my boy, Nick.
Yeah.
You know, he's always grinding with me.
Love Nick.
And dude, my one question that I have for you, which actually, you know, talking about everything we talked about, I was kind of curious. And in your honest opinion, as a man,
yes,
is your purpose, does anybody's purpose should be about being happy?
Does anyone's purpose, should it be about being happy?
Yeah. Should it be your purpose to be happy? Should you be happy at the end of the day? No.
And my reason for that is that happiness is a thing that happens. It's something that changes from day to day. So I can be happy because it's an emotion. So happiness is something that you feel. Happiness is something that just kind of happens, right? From day to day. Sadness can also happen from day to day. But these are temporary things. The biggest thing that I believe people should focus on in terms of like happiness or feeling that level of satisfaction is joy. Because joy is something that is not temporary. It's something that can't be taken from you. And so for me, why I can be a joyful person is because I rejoice in the Lord. I rejoice in, like, my faith tells me and shows me that, like, I have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to fear about, you know, being unhappy in this moment or in this day, because every day that the Lord makes is a new day, and it's a new day, and to make decisions, to respond to situations where I can continue to choose joy. I have control over what I'm willing to let up versus happiness. I don't have control over that. I don't necessarily have control over the way that my emotions want to respond to something, but I can mentally choose to be joyful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good answer, dude.
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah, just one last thing, bro. Matthew 5:14 says that you are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. And what that means is that you have a gift. You have a God-given ability. You have something that God has given to you, a specific and unique assignment that you have on your life. Really not to serve your own purpose, but the purpose that God has to serve through you. And you're amazing already as
Thanks,
is.
bro. I appreciate that.
But just continue to go out and be a light. Continue to be a salt. So a salt, biblically speaking, it's a preservation, right, of something. It's something that's long lasting. It's something that can't go away. If you put salt in anything, it doesn't go away.
It also tastes better.
And it tastes better. Exactly. Exactly. And so continue to be a salt and light in your community, and that won't be hidden.
Yeah.
You know, God's gonna open doors for you through your gift, in and through you, and whatever that results to. If you become a billionaire, that's awesome.
Be cool.
Yeah, because just more impact that we're gonna be able to make, not for our own good, but because of the interest in others too. You know what I mean? And so, super grateful for our partnership. Super grateful for the opportunity to meet you and to be on this podcast with you, and to just continue to share more and more core memories together, man.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. It was a pleasure. And shout out to Smackin'.
Shout out Smackin', bro. Cool.
Good stuff.
Thank you, bro.